What's up, snappers? Welcome back to the channel. DDDREWSKY here. Today we're gonna be looking at the brand new card Kahhori to see if she's worth her precious resources. We're gonna be looking at her key Synergies Counters and some decks that I brewed for her. But wait, before we do that, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I do weekly reviews of the brand new card in Marvel Snap. If you don't want to miss out, hit that notification bell right now. And let's get back into it. So now the question is, who is Kahhori? Let's take a look. So Kahhori in Marvel Snap is a 4-cost 6-powered card with an on-reveal ability of each card in your hand gives one of your cards in play +1 power. So I believe this card has a massive amount of potential, maybe living in a home of KahhoriShem, card generation style lists like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury is another great synergy with her. Your opponent is not going to know exactly what power is going to be set on which cards, and it really can throw off your opponent. Now let's take a look at some of the pros and cons of Kahhori. So the first pro that I want to talk about is that it's a decent raw power at 4 costs. 6 power is definitely on curve for being very good for her. And of course, it really depends on the board state, your hand size. 4/6 more than likely won't be a 4/6, so definitely be higher than that. So power output definitely very dependent on, the situation, but definitely very good. So when I mentioned that the power has been divided, it's not really a set number. So if you have like 7 cards in your hand, then that power has been divided between like the cards that are on your board. So maybe one card have 2, maybe one card has 1 card might have 3 powers. So it really is reliant on your RNG, and it really can throw off your opponent. So she's potentially a repeatable on reveal. She could be paired up with cards like Odin, Grandmaster. If you get paired up with those, she could have some crazy combo effect and have a lot of power on the board. So now let's talk about the cons. Very big hand size. You definitely have to be worried about creating too many cards in your hand. You might be flooded and you might not be able to play certain cards. So definitely be careful of your hand size. So you can't control whether power is being distributed. So I mentioned that you won't really know which cards are being juiced up or not juiced up. So it really depends on your RNG, and you're very reliant on the RNG to work in your favor. So she's very dependent on drawing the cards that create cards. So if you generate cards, then she gets in value, but if you don't draw those cards, play those cards, she won't have that much value. But usually decent hand sizes are like maybe like 3 or 4 or 5. So at the end of the day, I think she would probably be okay, but there are some cases where if you need to get, a bigger hand size, then it really depends on your draw. So now let's take a look at her key synergies and counters. So the first synergy that I want to talk about is Nick Fury. He creates 3 random 6-cost cards that will definitely bloat up your hand, and then you can either play them or just use them as fodder for Kahhori. Being able to play a Kahhori and then get all that value of your big hand size. Another great synergy is Devil Dino. Of course, Devil Dino loves big hand sizes. Maybe Devil Dino might make a comeback with Kahhori. Their synergy is immaculate, making sure that the bigger that your hand size is, Devil Dino loves big hand sizes. Agent Coulson is another great synergy with Kahhori. Definitely on curve, 3-cost card, generating 2 cards for you. And then you have 2 more cards that you can power up with Kahhori. So now let's talk about the counters. Of course, Cosmo is a counter for Kahhori. Kahhori is an on reveal, so Cosmo will definitely stop that. Ronin is another great counter against Kahhori, especially if Kahhori becomes a menace. Then Ronin loves cards that are in your opponent's hand, so Ronin will thrive on that. Shadow King is another great counter for Kahhori. Of course, Kahhori adds power to those cards on the board. More than likely, Shadow King should be able to reset those cards' power. So definitely be careful of Shadow King. All right, now let's take a look at the decks that I brewed. I think they're pretty fun and competitive. Let's take a look. So the first deck is called Kahhori Agents. So this is my take on the card generation style list. So the objective of this list is to create as much cards as possible for Kahhori, Devil Dino, and reap all the benefits of just throwing off your opponent. So Quinjet and Snowguard have tremendous value in this list. Quinjet, of course, is discounting all the cards that are being generated in this list. Snowguard creates 2 cards in your hand that benefits for Kahhori and Devil Dinosaur, so tremendous value there. Mirage, Iron Patriot, Valentina, Victoria Hand are great turn 2 plays. You could use Mirage to get intel on your opponent, and of course it creates a card for your hand. Iron Patriot is one of the best 2-cost cards in the game, even with his nerf. Definitely tremendous value creating a card. Valentina creates a 6-cost card for your hand, so you could either play that card or just save it for Kahhori. Victoria Hand just has tremendous value in this list, giving +2 power if you decide to play those cards on the board. Definitely worth having this list. Cassandra Nova is just great against this current meta, especially if there's a lot of KahhoriShem or even Thanos or even Agamotto floating around. Agent Coulson, one of the best 3-cost cards in the game, works perfectly with Kahhori and Devil Dinosaur. Shang-Chi and Enchantress are definitely the best 2 counters in the game. Shang-Chi with all the big power cards in meta, and then Enchantress for all those pesky ongoing cards. Kahhori, you definitely want to play on the later turns. If you have a big hand, definitely run Kahhori. Devil Dinosaur is just a great finisher in this list. Definitely has a lot of power if you have a lot of cards in your hand that you haven't played. Devil Dinosaur has tremendous value. Now let's take a look at my second list. So this list is called KahhoriShem. This is my take on KahhoriShem. The objective of this list is to create as much cards as possible with KahhoriShem, or even the cards in this list, and then reap all the benefits of either playing them or letting them being played for you. So Loki and Quinjet here. Loki, of course, has tremendous value with KahhoriShem. Definitely a amazing pairing. For him to be a 1-cost card is insane. So depending on the situation, you could run Loki to copy your opponents, but again, very situational if you want to use him. Quinjet, of course, like I mentioned, the discount is insane with Quinjet. Iron Patriot, like I mentioned, creates a card in your hand. Definitely has value with Isan and Kahhori. Victoria Hand must have, like I mentioned, +2 power for all these created cards from KahhoriShem. Triple M, definitely one of the best tech counters right now in the current meta. With all this energy discounting, Triple M is a must-have. Agent Coulson, creating 2 cards in your hand, definitely a must with Kahhori. Shang-Chi, if they have a big powered lane, definitely use Shang-Chi. Kahhori has tremendous value in this list, especially pairing her up with Nick Fury, Agent Coulson, or even Iron Patriot. Creating those cards, having a big hand. Mockingbird will get huge discount in this list, especially all the created cards from KahhoriShem or any of the card generation cards here. Isan allows you to play your cards out early, especially having KahhoriShem's max energy. If you play Isan out on the board, then more than likely you'll get a free play with any of the cards in your hand. And then KahhoriShem, you probably won't be playing him, definitely just using him as just the archetype. Now let's take a look at my third and final list. So this list is called Kahhori Reveal. So this is my experimentals type list with Kahhori. I think she has potential with this, and I'll explain why. So Echo is here, of course, just to protect the Wong lane. Of course, I know she's not really played that much, but tremendous value on protecting Wong against Cosmo. Nightcrawler and Jeff are here to be set up on their own lanes, and they can power them up with Namora. Ironheart is here just to juice up more power in this list. Wong is definitely here if you want to go the greedy route of going Wong, Black Panther, even Wong, Namora. Wong even paired up with Nick Fury just to generate more cards in your hand for Kahhori is insane. Kahhori definitely should be played on the later turns, maybe turn 5 is ideal. Definitely want to follow her up with Odin just to start powering up your cards. But of course, you would definitely want to play her after Nick Fury. White Tiger and Black Panther, of course, should be played on the Wong lane. If you can't, then you could always play them in their own lane. Namora should be played on the Wong lane, or you could play her on her own lane just to start juicing up the cards that are in their own lane. Zola is just a must-have with a Wong or Black Panther. It goes nutty if you run Zola after the Black Panther on the Wong lane. So Odin could be used for the Black Panther play, or you could run Odin right after Kahhori or even Nick Fury. Now let's take a look at the spotlights that are featured with Kahhori. So Kahhori is with Cole Obsidian and Hydra Bob. Kahhori is a Series 5 card, Cole Obsidian is a Series 4 card, and Hydra Bob is Series 5. So Cole Obsidian, unfortunately with the nerf to the Cap Shield, he hasn't had much value other than Thanos. So he's very niche, so I would definitely not recommend him for most players. But if you like that style of play, then definitely go get him. Hydra Bob is one of the best 1-cost cards in the game. He definitely has value in those certain limited time modes like High Voltage or even Sanctum Showdown. Definitely a must-have if you like those type of modes. And again, 1-4 is definitely very good. So for the Spotlight variants, I like the Kahhori variant a lot. If you like this style of card, then definitely go get it. Cole Obsidian, I think he definitely has other better variants. I definitely think it could be a pass. And then the Hydra Bob variant, I love the finger pointing. Matches the style of that Gwenpool from the other week. So I definitely think it's a must-have. So remember guys to have 4 Spotlight caches before opening. You definitely don't want to regret missing out on a variant or a card that you really want. So make sure you have 4. Now let's take a look at the community predictions for Kahhori. So they said S tier 1 star, A tier 4 stars, C tier 3 stars, and F tier 1 star. So majority of the community believes that she's an A tier card, and a portion of it say that she is worth a C tier. So I would say the community is definitely very mixed reviews on her. We'll see depending on, you know, my star ratings on her. But yeah, it's kind of a mixed match of the possibilities of her. So we'll see. So here's a community response about the brand new card Kahhori. Thank you again for your response. This is from Undead Eggmeister. They said, honestly, I'm not sure. Her ability is nice, but the fact that the power is randomly distributed among the cards on the field kind of drags her down for me. It kind of makes people want to play fewer cards to get full potential. So I agree with this statement 100%. The ability is very unique to Marvel Snap. You know, getting more power is great, but the random distribution of the power is definitely a huge negative. You don't know what gets powered up. And definitely it kind of allows for the player to play 1 card per turn or a very low amount of cards. Maybe she even works with Sandman or even Doom 2099, right? So let's say most players that do have this card are going to be playing her like 1 card per turn or a very slow amount of pace. So if you like that style of, you know, play, then definitely go for her. So thank you again for your feedback on the brand new card. If you want to be featured in the next video, make sure to follow my community posts about the brand new card. And thank you guys again so much. Now let's take a look at my star ratings for Kahhori. So for competitive, I gave her a 3 stars. I think she definitely has potential, but unfortunately with the decks that she's currently, you know, the best at aren't that great right now in the current meta. So we'll see. I gave her a 3 stars just because she has potential, but again, I see a lot of pitfalls. For fun, I gave her a 4 stars. I believe that a lot of people like, you know, power creating and, you know, the randomness of maybe KahhoriShem or creating cards on the fly. I would definitely say that's more on the fun factor because you are throwing off your opponent and it could be definitely very fun for you. For flexibility, I gave her 2.5 stars. I believe that majority of her homes will definitely be in like the list that I mentioned. I don't really see her being flexible in a way where you could just plug her in any type of list. But again, you know, KahhoriShem or card generation are definitely going to be her home. For future changes, I gave her 2 stars. I believe if anything, maybe a nerf in the future, but I don't really see her being changed. I think she's pretty well balanced for what she does and what you need to do to get her value. So I would say a fair 2 stars for her. Now let's take a look at my final review of Kahhori. Is she worth a snapper skip? Let's take a look. So for pre-Series 3 owners, 1.5 stars. Unfortunately, a lot of the cards that work well with her are higher in series. So if you are missing a lot of Series 3, 4, and 5, I would definitely say you should probably skip on her. For Series 3 owners, 3 stars. I believe you have a lot of pieces that can work with her. It's not going to be ideal, but a lot of the cards that you have, more than likely, it should be okay with her. For Series 4 and 5 owners, I would say 4 stars. More than likely, you'll have a lot of the pieces that work well with her. And you might be missing maybe a few pieces, but more or less, you should be okay. So the archetypes that she works well with are Shield, aka Card Generation, KahhoriShem, and On Reveal. And with that being said, unfortunately, I say skip on Kahhori. I believe she's a little bit too niche. The random power distribution isn't great, and you're relying a lot on RNG. And I believe that, you know, the cards that do well in Marvel Snap are the ones that are a little bit more controlled and more predictable. So if you compare her to maybe like Gwenpool does something very similar in your hand, but she affects the board instead. So you see the value in her. Maybe she can work. She definitely has potential, but the RNG-ness of, you know, having to create cards, you know, have a big hand size, maybe you'll get flooded with your hand. So there's a lot of, again, a lot of pitfalls that I see with her. I would definitely say it's not a must-have for a lot of people, but if you enjoy the style, of course, go get her. But if you are low on resources, if you're not, you know, having a lot of caches or tokens, I would definitely say you could probably skip on her. So let me know your thoughts on Kahhori. Am I completely wrong? Did I miss any synergies? Did I miss any decks that she works well with? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to be a part of this amazing community here on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next Snapper Skip. Happy snapping.